So round 5, we are up against Sigil Reloaded, and I was up against Nikhil, who I'd. It's probably too much to say we'd met properly, but we'd certainly had a very brief interaction. Had a GT previously that he went on to win. But first time actually playing in first, and this game was on stream as well, so I'll put the link to the stream in the chat. So if you want to see this game play out in real time, you can do it there. Especially as I took a few less pictures in this game, just with being busy being on stream and everything like that. So up against CSM, obviously an army I'm generally familiar with. Tends to be my main faction and a veterans list. And this looked very similar to Ultramarine, so I ended up putting this as slightly favoured for Death Guard. So in terms of what's worry me, they've got Cypher, who's always a pain, albeit Death Guard CP economy is so good it's less of a pain, but I did make a real effort to start all my turns on 3 CP so I could always have the option of an interrupt. Fabius the Chosen Brick, Huron with his Maelstrom mates and some more Chosen. Vashtor, who I know has been gaining in popularity, but I tend to leave out of my list. I couldn't quite remember what he did all the time, other than being a lone up and a real pain. But yes, goals for the home field, a couple of rhinos, bikers were like the only really chaff trading pieces. Which is one of the reasons I put it thing. I thought I could bring them out. 2 Chosen for the various characters as mentioned above. 2 Defilers with the kind of standard CSM loadout. The Maelstrom, some Raiders for infiltrate, and some Noise Marines. So not many units. That's why I thought I could bring it out and then really punish the attack, and that's why I put it as favoured. There's not a lot of damage to combat in here to worry about. There's less like Legionnaires and things like that, and things like Huron and Vash, and I think even Bala damage 3 in combat. So the -1 damage doesn't matter as much in this as some CSM lists. You know, I tend to run a lot of Possessed and or Legionnaires in the past. That can make really blunt that -1 thing. That said, I still think it's generally positive, albeit the one thing that really did come to bite me again similar to Ultramarines was the reactive move that Nico used very effectively throughout. So in terms of deployment, this is post CSM redeploy. Ended up being 3 units that redeployed over here, so these guys stayed out. I kind of thought they'd move away, and it ended up being a real pain that they didn't, because I undercommitted to this flank. I kind of only wanted to put some guys over there. My Poxwalkers went across these 2 objectives, and I really felt like I really regretted not having another unit here, albeit everything here kind of ended up mattering. This guy probably should have started here. It threatens some more angles. It keeps the Defiler even more honest. The Defiler went down before this guy, so I just kind of was like, oh, okay, he can't get me here, but then I didn't threaten up here, so a bit of a mistake there on my part. I'd really like to spawn unit here as well, but I ended up doing it, and I ended up started moving stuff before I'd done my scout thing, really, so I didn't feel like I could just then start moving up here and then doing that after. But yes, so that's Death Guard deployment. I ended up going first. I had Poxwalker strung out, so I was by and large pretty defensive turn 1. Looking at CSM, we've got the 2 Defilers there. We have a Rhino full of Narcissus with Bar Squad here. We have some Bikers here. Vash within load up range, so I can't move up and shoot him at all. And then with Huron, and then we have some Noise Marines here along with some Cultists in the back. No reserves for CSM. My Terminator in reserve is normal, and I went the -1 save Contagion. Turn 1, again, pretty quick. I had some action or area denial or something like that, so I kept moved some spawn onto the point. And then I had the drone come up and start chipping away at the Chosen. It did pretty well this turn. It sort of balanced out a bit later, but it was a nice start damage-wise there, even if it meant I couldn't get onto the objective. Sorry, not the Chosen here, the Reavers here, which I hadn't used or played against before, but I was low-key really impressed with. They solve a problem CSM often have of that little sort of early trading game thing, and I hadn't seen how quite effective they'd been just having 10 OC outfield. I didn't think they were going to really replace that sort of Nurgling package, Nurgling and Beast, but I was they're not a sort of efficient damage unit, but they really solve a niche that CSM have really well. So it's cool seeing it playing against them. This guy ended up moving it. I rolled in advance, got distracted with something, and then ended up moving him there later. And Nikhil was kind enough to allow me to do that. Over here, I think we're skipping all the way to CSM turn 2 here. Some bikes came out on the middle, and then in my turn, I moved this spawn up here and started to shoot Vash up. I did very little damage. I felt like he passed every single one of his saves. I might be getting that wrong. And then the Noise Marines come out along with the Maelstrom guys coming here to come and try and punish me for that. The Defiler comes out, so I think you can see the spawn. I can't remember if you can see anything on here. I think there's some more spawn there. No, there's not. And just start the game off. Oh, that's what I put the D imprints on there on my turn too. Reason I did that was I wanted to force the game open early, and I need to bring the Defilers open, especially when I started thinking about the reactive moves. I got worried that similar to how Ultramarines were able to recycle some of their relatively few training pieces by just going back in and out of the wall and things. I didn't want to allow that to happen, so I wanted to force the Defilers out. They're the only things that I felt really threatened the Prince, so they would have to come out, and then I would hopefully either Blight Lord them or Death Shroud. The other thing I got hopeful of, but didn't end up happening, Nikhil changed his mind in a second, about to send some Chosen, was if 2 Defilers popped out, but the angles were quite bleak, so the one here could only see like along this line, then I could possibly deep strike some Terminators in, say, there-ish, get lone up on them, and then the Defiler's only shooting some Blight Lords. It means I get the centre, it means I get the Blight Lords position. The Plasma hurts, but if it doesn't roll that hot, then I get a really nice push in. But I wasn't able to do that. I had to use it quite defensively. The sudden emergence of Terminator lone op isn't something I typically do, but when there's not a lot of shots that threaten the Terminators, and especially if you look, I was on 6 CP at this point, I can -1 damage. I can probably even do that if Cypher's in range, and just make life awkward for the Defiler chewing through my stuff. So yes, the bar blob comes out, gets coming out over here. I feel I need to respond. They do very little damage here, to be honest. That's helped by a Blight Lord Overwatch that rolls pretty hot on the flamers and kills a few, and I think the Reaper autocannon popped off as well. It's like the only weapon in Death Guard that's sustained. It got 3 hits, 6 wounds, 6 damage, went through. Very nice there. Vashtor comes out, he kills a drone, comes here. I've sort of already abandoned this flank. I'm like, cool, I'll get to it if I can, but with like the Hurons unit here in a Rhino, even if I kill the Rhino and move something up, then like reactives and just the sheer amount of wounds in that unit is going to be tough. Like, if the Death Shroud come out as my sort of big answer unit and get it, then maybe they get through it, but even then it's going to be tough. The Blight Lord is the only unit I'd fancy just because of the sheer quantity of Volume 1 and then Volume 2 in combat. Damage 1 in of each. Sheer amount of volume in shooting and their damage 2 in combat means they're quite a nice unit into that. But as they've had to come down here defensively, I'm like, cool. This is CSM for the rest of the game. I will focus elsewhere, especially with Vashtor getting in my face. I'm like, cool. These have to come down, and I'll give myself the option. It sort of keeps them honest for like trying to trail through for a heroic or something like that as well. Thankfully, though, the Barland Chosen brick do very little. I'm not so big a fan of Chosen as quite a lot of other CSM players. I'm obviously on record as being a big fan of Possessed, and this is kind of why they do a little bit of damage here, but they essentially do nothing of note other than tying these two guys up, and this being the Flesh Mode drone can run away next turn and just be free to act as it will. Sadly, though, I leave one Reaver alive who keeps being a real pain and sticking on the objective here, and the Defiler moves up, and this is CSM's objective. So CSM are getting a lead on primary, which especially with end of game scoring is becoming a problem really quick for me. So a little bit of an overlook at CSM position, slightly blurry photo, sorry, going into round 3 for Death Guard. Thankfully, I have a good turn. These spawn move up, they get a charge on the Rhino, which is nice, but the big thing is they are able to get the Defiler and Death in contagion range, which means the Death Shroud comes to 6, and they come in and they blow it up. The Death Shroud roll a little low. The Lord of Contagion rolls really hot, though, and the Defiler is taken out. This drone falls back. I can't put any shooting anywhere, but it gives me a nice storm, and as there's only a Rhino on this objective at this stage, it means I can contest the objective. I've started to push threats upfield. I've got a lot of things in midboard. I start to shoot Fabius, and then it doesn't kind enough to allow me to stop, and I charge it instead, so which means I get some more movement and get them upfield, and Vashtor is taken out here. I don't have a lot of stuff I can throw at this Defiler. I'm kind of either going after this one or this one. I don't think I can get this one in contagion range, at least without something like a Blight Lord advance or something that I'm really not going to try. So it's like, okay, I will do what I can here. This I've denied. I've started putting pressure on here, and I've started to make the mill skewer, so I start to sort of even out the primary gains. So this was CSM's response. It was a really interesting one. So the Defiler sort of comes around the corner to fight a drone. The drone just lives, and it comes onto the objective next turn, finally killing the Reaver, so I can deny this objective. Blight Lords are in the middle. I start making a real push here. We have the strat gets used wrong. We have to take some stuff back, and the upshot of all is I'm able to slingshot my Death Shroud onto this objective to take it back, which is really nice. Spawn come into Cypher, kill him. The drone comes here, partly so we could potentially charge up, but just get more OC on there. And it means that Death Guard, we're losing the flanks, but we finally sort of get a thing, and we get a nice 15 on the primary. And we've started to limit CSM. We can't do anything about here, and this is what I think is a really interesting play from CSM, that they keep this unit here. I think they changed it around, it wasn't a problem. And it means that this is very much their objective, and I can't do anything about it. I can't like get some cheeky shots on the Rhino or charge it with Death Shroud, but they keep it out of the way, so they don't go into the middle where my Terminator can come, but they equally they're out of the game for a turn. I tend to be more aggressive. I'd have been tempted to try and come after the Death Shroud and retake the home. It does mean they lose this. It's probably a much of a muchness. It's just it's always interesting for me seeing how other CSM players in particular act here. So again, not a right or wrong decision, but I was surprised there wasn't more aggression, especially with Chosen's ability to, move 6 to hit, advance, they get it in there, and there's a lot of damage in this squad into them. It keeps them safe, it keeps them playing. I think Nikhil was playing for the late game. He was up at this before this turn, and then this turn sort of rather evened up the score a bit. So maybe we're just playing for turn 5, and that's fine. So yes, Nikhil's turn, he gets the Defiler. I think he comes back around there. This drone is taken out. I'm struggling to get any damage here. He makes sure the Blight Lords can't see it. It's the only thing that can realistically threaten. I try and get a drone up to do some damage to it, but I can't. I also should have really auto-exploded this drone when it killed it, just to try and do a bit of damage. It wouldn't have made any difference even if I'd rolled a 3 on the mortals. But it is one of those things that it was down to 6 wounds, getting it to 3, and then like the missile launcher finishing off was a out. For me, and it was something I'd forgotten to until the second after I rolled the dice, so it's like, damn it. Still, it's a good turn for Death Guard. We keep controlling the mill, and we start to put the pressure on CSM, where we start matching them, and we start being in fact we take the lead going into turn 5 for the first time in the game, and then it's a case of, can we stop CSM getting a 15? We can't do much here. We've got a drone that is killed very easily. There's no way we're getting enough OC on here, and I think they're even reactive to make sure I can't do anything. Yes, the moment the Death Shroud committed to the top, these guys became reasonably safe on this flank, so they've got free choice, and they killed the drone easily. Yeah, when I talk about the drone moving up here and shooting, this drone was killed by the Defiler, who was very easily shot off. So yeah, this is sort of Death Guard's position. We go into I think it was into turn 5. Start of turn, so we hold this, we hold our home, we get a nice 15. We'd held on to Sabotage, mostly for this, because it's not something I normally hold on to, but it is worth 6 points. And I can just move in here, touch on, and Sabotage for 6. there's no realistic way CSM can do it. Maybe the Defiler can move up here and get an angle. I don't think it's possible. And then it was just a case of chucking stuff here. I tried to get the spawn over to the Defiler. It needed a 9-inch charge to reroll. It didn't happen. The Defiler's 5 for turn, which meant he could do some shooting into theirs. Annoyingly blurry shot. So this was my final position. Trying to take out the Defiler. Didn't work. Even was tempted to try and overwatch it as a Hail Mary on the last turn. The CSM can just get on to the objective if they roll a 6. So I go, okay, I'm going to bury it with bodies, make sure sort of whatever happens that it's hard for you to take it, and we'll see what happens. So annoyingly, this is the last picture. This is the CSM at the start of thing. They've got inbuilt in advance in charge. They get a big 6, so they get all the way to this corner here, essentially. The Filer comes up, starts sort of softening up the Blight Lords, takes out, I think, yes, 5 of them, takes out these 5, and CSM roll a 7 on the charge. It is about the closest measurement I've ever seen, thankfully. Being on stream, we had a judge nearby to come and rule it, and CSM were just in, which meant they were able to hold 3. They couldn't kill all the Blight Lords, so they had an overforce that was denied. But it ended up the game as not only as a 10-10 draw, as a 75-75 apiece draw. Really close game, could have gone either way. Another 0.2 inches less from the CSM movement here, and I get the win in singles, and a couple of better dice here and there for CSM, and they could have taken the win. They kill. Huron's Brick kills 5 Terminators, I'm pretty sure, more often than not, and if he does that, then Nikhil gets the singles win. Either way, it was going to be a draw, and we would have needed a lot more either way for it to affect the round. So, yes. Overall, round ended as a draw in our favour, 52-48. Obviously, 10-10 for me. Dennis had a 10-10 draw with Black Templars. Sam CSM smashed Tau. We were a bit worried about that one in particular. And Sam went in and absolutely destroyed them. Byron had a 11-9 win against Nids. But sadly, Hiristo got beaten up by Sisters 119, which was what kept Sigil and gave them the draw. So overall, we finished 4 in a draw. We were unbeaten overall. A different Sigil team ended up completely unbeaten with no draws. They ended up making the top cut and went on to win. We tied with Mind Goblins for 4 wins and a draw, but they had a much better points difference than us. So they made the top cut to second, and we were the only other undefeated team. So we ended up third, and we got a nice trophy. I think one of the things that was really interesting was we looked at the player placings afterwards, and like none of us did badly by any stretch, but we were not. We didn't have a lot of high scorers. So if we looked at our players, Sam was our highest ranked player. He went 4 wins and a draw. Ended up 18th overall out of I think it was 170 odd players. 356 miles off. And yeah, really impressive for him. Then Byron and me were 62nd, 63rd. Dennis 110th. Hiristo, a bit low, being on the blunt rolled 292. And I think that's really interesting because we obviously finished third as a team, and when it was very much a team effort. Like the round 4 against the Power Rangers, I think really showed that when it was like, cool, 10, 10, 10, 11, 14, or whatever the score was. And it's something that's been really nice at the past couple of team events. Essentially, everyone's sort of gone sort of 10-10, and then one player each round or each tournament's really shot up. So Sam did it this round. Dennis did it the previous one, and Byron did the previous, where they just went and smashed people, and everyone else got the 10-10. So yes, I think it was really impressive showing. We were really happy. We were absolutely pumped at the end of it. It'd have been nice to make the top 2, but equally getting to me making a pretty long drive back from Birmingham, getting to leave a bit earlier was nice. It was nice actually as I was leaving. I had a nice chat with a fellow called Matt, who spotted me as I was going to the car, and we had a little chat about the blog and thing, and he passed on his very kind words. So that was very life affirming as well. That's it. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. This is probably my last one of 10th. Although there's a chance there'll be one more. So next time it'll either probably be CSM with some defilers, or it'll be 11th edition, and who knows. Thanks and bye.